Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the discussion of our next book club read. How are you all doing? Have you managed to finish the book? I finished about 1.5 hours ago, but today we are here to discuss Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. And this is the first book in the Earth Seed duology. So there is a sequel to this, there is a second book. But yeah, we are here discussing this one. And depending on how much we liked it, maybe we can organize to read the second one together as well as a buddy read or something like that. So we will see. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. And yeah, first of all, can you hear me and see me well? Is my question. I also want to, yeah, there are the turtles, but I'm gonna, yeah, that works actually. Turtles and me. Um, how are you doing? And are you ready to discuss? Is there anyone who hasn't finished the book? So maybe we should first start discussing without spoilers. Let me know. We can do that. And then later on, we'll go into spoilers. And um, then you can hop off if you want to. So let me know. Hello, Cool Gamer 2. How are you? Hi, Jess. Hello, Natalie. Um, we'll see if more people will join. I know there are some people who did read it but could not join today, but it's okay. So we will just see how it all evolves. It always feels like, what are we going to be talking about? But then we always end up talking for 1.5 hours. So it's fine. Hello, Larissa. Hi. Yes, I can hear you and see you. Nice. Good. Thank you, Alex, for confirming. Hello. My internet was weird. Oh, okay. That's no worries as long as it's not my internet. Finish a book? What's that? Right? I mean, it's the first book I finished in like a week. So that's not that bad. But yeah, it was a struggle to finish this one, especially from the start. I was not that into it. Like, I was into it, but I was not that into reading, I would say. Reading specifically. Um, so I have 20 minutes left, but it's all fine with spoilers. Yeah, I don't think there is that much happening in the end. Like, last 20 minutes, what would that be? That would be like the last chapter, right? Or maybe 1.5 chapter. Um, and I don't think it ended with any specific spoilers. Like, you kind of can expect what will happen from about, I don't know, 70% of the book, I would say. Yeah, lots to talk about. Yeah, we usually have that. So, first of all, we are going to be discussing Parable of the Sower, which is it like a dystopian novel? Um, I wouldn't say it's fantasy or sci-fi. I don't feel like it's either of those. It is, I think it is specified as fantasy or sci-fi. Maybe the second one is. I'm not sure. But yeah, here on the top, it's by John Green, blurbed, and it says, "Brilliant, endlessly rich, pairs well with 1984 or The Handmaid's Tale." And I would like to add, and The Hunger Games. That's the feeling I get is, yeah, 1984 maybe not as much, but yeah, The Handmaid's Tale maybe, and The Hunger Games felt the vibe. And also speaking of, a little bit of the Ready Player One, but in like more serious way. But what it is about is America is a place of chaos where violence rules and only the rich and powerful are safe. Lauren Olamina, a young woman with extraordinary power to feel the pain of others as her own, records everything she sees of this broken world in her journal. Then, one terrible night, everything alters beyond recognition, and Lauren must make her voice heard for the sake of those she loves. Soon, her vision becomes reality, and her dreams of a better way to live gain the power to change humanity forever. That is a quick introduction of what the book is. Walking, then sitting. I was joking, but also serious. Yeah, definitely. It is very slow. The stakes are high though, but it is, well, I'm gonna fix this now with the comments. But it is very slow book. There is, you could say it's repetitive, or like it's the same thing over and over for about more than half a book, but it feels like it's building up. So it makes sense, but yeah, it feels a bit slow and repetitive at times. I'm still on page 29. Oh, you didn't finish. Oh gosh. Wow. Okay. Um, so should we do first without spoilers, a little discussion, and then we'll jump to spoilers later? Is dystopian? I'd say yes. I agree. But it's a subgenre of sci-fi, right? Could be. I'm not sure. Sci-fi, as in dystopian, is usually classified as a subgenre thereof. Okay. Yeah, 1984 wasn't this bleak. Yeah, and it feels like both 1984 and The Handmaid's Tale, like they have something in common, but those two feels like the government prevails, or like the system prevails. Here, what prevails is that there is no system anymore, and that nothing works as it should anymore. So it feels kind of like opposite, but the same in a dystopian level way. It's a reread for me, so it doesn't really matter. Ah, okay, it's a reread, so you've read it, so no matter with spoilers. Okay. I actually don't know what we are supposed to talk about in the non-spoiler report, so if you have any suggestions. Wow, how professional of me. Anyway, I guess the fact that I read more than half the day changed the experience for me. It didn't feel slow at all for me. Fast reading made the story faster too. Yes, definitely helps when you read it fast. Um, but I read it over a couple of days, and it, even though I read most of it, wait, let me check. Yesterday, when I started, I only have read 100 pages. I was only third way through. And then I read one third yesterday and then one third today. So I also read it quite fast, and yet it still felt slow in a way that they are just walking the entire time. Well, not the entire time from a certain point, but they're just walking for the rest of the book. And is that the Lord of the Rings vibe? Not exactly, but kind of just walking. But yeah, it is not that it's not like annoyingly slow, but if you think about it, they just walk and describe the same scenes over and over and over. It just the characters change a little bit, but the situations are the same all over. I'm gonna put it down now. We know what we're discussing. I really, really love her writing. Yes, it is very compelling writing. I really loved it too, and I I really liked Kindred as well, but it didn't quite hit for me, and this neither. Even though I really enjoyed it, it was not a 5 star. Um, so there is something I'm missing, but it's very good. I enjoyed. I read it in a day, so I'm the Flash apparently. Yes, definitely. That is a quick reading. Yes, agree. I like the writing too. It was a lot easier than I expected. I somehow thought that the writing would be the hard part, but that really wasn't the case. Yeah, yeah. The writing is very easy, very accessible, very compelling, for sure. Not just walking, but also hiding. Yeah, also hiding and stealing. There are also a lot of breaks for a new entry, and the earthy things are like a few words per line, so that helped feel like it read faster for me. Yeah, yeah, definitely. There are lots of empty pages. I don't know if in your books as well, but oh yeah, I just found the one where we go into 2027. So here is end of chapter. Here we have 2027, and then next page is empty, and then the chapter begins. And it was lots of like this, like the chapter ends on this page, and then the new chapter would start on the page of like the 2 pages later or 3 pages later. So there was lots of empty pages. It felt like it read fast that way. Uh, oh no, I didn't do that, but here we have like this. But when it ended on this page, it would start still on this page. So there are some empty pages. Um, And it did definitely read fast. Oh, forgot the hiding and shooting. Yeah, yes, that. True, the structure of the book helped. Yes. This is my fourth Butler book as so far my favorite. Nice. I'm glad to hear that. Did I like this one more than Kindred? I read Kindred quite a while ago, so I don't remember that much, but I think they both had something that I really liked. Um, but this one could be closer to my style in general. I think Kindred was missing something. This one was much better, maybe. Not much better, but I think I enjoyed it more. Yeah, I didn't have empty spaces in the ebook, but yeah, it is a fast read, kinda. Yeah, kinda. Um, yeah. Is it a good read for the climate? I would say so. There is a lot of focus on lack of water, lack of fossil fuels, like those all things very much like go together with climate change and go together with the issues we have today. It just feels like it's a few years ahead. So what's happening in this book in 2024, 25, which is now for us, is luckily not as bad as it is now, but it is looking bad in some places in a way that, for example, I know California is low on water in the summer, like they struggle and they need to save a lot of water. So it's already happening, it's just not in that size yet. So it is really scary to see that what the potential is in a few years. Um, Probably not that far in the future either. I'm not sure it will go that bad, but I would not be surprised, honestly. Like it feels quite realistic, actually. Definitely need to read more by her, but I really hope this doesn't end up being my favorite. Yeah, true, true. Kindred set my blood on fire with her having to constantly save that bastard. Ah, yeah. Um, I actually thought that was a really sneaky thought. I, yeah, like I think it's brave and very sneaky of the author to do that. Um, it's very mind bending kind of situation. Definitely, it had some very relatable elements, and that it was written around our time where we have exactly shit like this going on. Yeah. Lots of wildfires in California too, and roads water restrictions. Yes, exactly. So that those things are already happening, and I mean they're just gonna keep getting worse. So this potentially could happen. Um, but yeah, they have a lack of resources and are thinking of a new world, so fits the sci-fi version of climate books. Yes. Speaking of, this is one thing that I not like struggled, but like wondered the entire time of the book. I think it is it it's not a spoiler, it's basically it's from the start pretty much that she really believes our main character really believes in building a new world elsewhere. So in a different on a different planet. Um I wonder like what where my mind went immediately is with how bad it was in the book with lack of resources. There are resources, it is possible to find them, but it is fewer than comfortable, and people went bonkers, like people the society just went crazy. What makes her think that starting a life on a planet where there is not even breathable air would be good? What makes her think that that wouldn't turn people mad? Yes, of course, you would just pick certain people to go with, people you trust. But if you build a society in 2 generations, you're gonna have clients against each other and people stealing again. It's gonna be the same thing, and it's gonna be much worse because the resources are gonna be 1% of what is on Earth or what was on Earth in the book. So that is one thing I struggle, or like one thought I struggled with, that it wasn't fully fleshed out in that way. That yes, I understand the idea, and in a 2D level of the book it works, but in reality it doesn't. I don't think anyway. So did you think of the same thing, or can you please explain to me what's that supposed to be? Because to me it does not make very much sense. That specific thing, like that's basically the only thing I have kind of against it, you could say. I feel like the biggest issue I had was the blurb. It promised things to happen that only got started in the middle of the book or even in the last chapter, like building the community. Yes. Spoiler for Josephine. um yeah, I guess like even the last sentence, soon her vision becomes reality and her dreams of a better way to live gain the power to change humanity forever. Like we didn't even see that in the book, did we? Like that's basically what is promised after the end of the book, or like in the last chapter exactly. But it's promised, we don't actually see that. So yeah, I agree. I'm glad our prices aren't so bad as $2,000 gets you a week's worth of food. Yeah, definitely. It's not that bad yet. Also, the quote that the ones who made this planet hell still don't have enough. Phew. Yeah, yeah. She said a planet that could sustain life for heaven. So I did have that thought. Um, yeah, I don't think that. I don't. At some point, she was discussing that she doesn't think there is a like even if there is a planet with just trillions of microorganisms, it still means life to me. So potentially it would be worth exploring, but I personally highly doubt there is any other planet in the universe that would be able to sustain our life. I am convinced there are other planets that have life on them, just not the life we know or the life we would be able to survive in. Um, that just feels like that would be such a big coincidence. Um, or maybe it's another just arrogant way to think about it. Like maybe there is, but who knows how far that is. But yeah, I don't think she ever actually thought it would be a planet with air on it or like able to live. I think she always imagined it would be like they would have to build the society there in a way that, you know, because at some point she was also saying like they would be too far to get help. And what do you need to get help for if it's not for air or water or whatever you ran out of? I'm thinking Martian. um, that kind of style. But maybe, like I'm just probably too picky about it. But I just feel like maybe this was not exactly thought through 100%. But yeah, I found it a bit weird too that she had the idea of leaving the planet, but it was never even mentioned how far technology was to even get close to that. Yeah, yeah. For me, it felt a lot like hope to have something in some kind of future, maybe to build for. Yeah, I guess. Okay, okay. I think I like the Earthseed stuff better when it was just an idea Lauren was working through on her own. She lost me when the preaching started. Yes. Yes. She lost me when when they met. Spoilers. Should we go into spoilers? When they met. I'm gonna wait for the spoiler. I don't know. Maybe this is for spoilers later. I'm gonna start the comments to get back to it. Or should we jump into spoilers? I been 20 minutes, so maybe we jump into spoilers. And people just kind of, I don't know, tolerated it, gave her hope, humored her. I'm not sure anyone was as much on board as she thought they were. Yeah. Yes, Natalie, there was one part at the beginning where they mentioned the woman who died on Mars. True. Yeah, so they were on Mars. Most book character will lose me when they go into preaching. um, yeah, I mean, it is justifiable in this case, I would feel like, but or expected. But let's go. Spoilers. Seriously. But yeah, this, like, I kind of, yeah, humored her all the way until they met the two girls that they saved, the Ellie and Jill. And one of them asked, like, what is this, a cult? And I was like, it really does sound like it. I would have exactly the same thought as you. And that's when I started to be a little wary of what she actually wants to achieve with this earth seed. And then I think it got a little bit cleared up later when she was talking to, oh yeah, don't even get me started on bank hole. Bank hole? Bank, I always say bank hole. Bank hole. Bank hole. Don't even get me started on that mess. That's that what do I want to say? Failure. Um but then when they were discussing it, I felt like it made more sense and it was less cultish. But yeah. How do we feel about her feeling the pain of others? I think that was very interesting. That's maybe where the fantasy element came in, or like the sci-fi element came in. I think it was very interesting to see how that worked, and yeah, it was maybe just overblown representation of oversensitive people, I would say. Um, Back in the day, I mean, this book was written when, like, maybe that needed more discussion then, and it was kind of like a reference to it. 1993. So this was written 30 years ago. Um, that was a bit different world then. But yeah, I think that was very interesting. I liked that it wasn't thrown there all the time. I liked that sometimes I even forgot that she had that until she reminded us later on or something. I really like that it wasn't like on every page, because sometimes people authors just overdo it. So yeah, I like when people were engaging with her ideas and challenging them, but she kind of didn't care. Yeah, yes, exactly. It's definitely a cult. Yeah, it does feel like it. Yes. I wonder how strongly she actually believed in this future herself and how much of it was herself convincing. There was much talk about people ignoring or believing things to be able to deal with it. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It could be her way of denial, but it could be also her way of survival. So it could be both. Um, I would say that she actually believed it. That would be my guess, or that's the um, feeling I got. Her sharing was a metaphor. Yeah, I think so. Bank all. Yeah, don't even get me. No, I wondered how you dealt with the religious stuff. That was quite prominent. I found it fascinating. Um, there might be lots of religious like metaphors or something that I wouldn't pick up on because I never read Bible. I was never religious myself, so I don't know these stories well. But I don't mind reading about it at all. I am fascinated by religions, not in a way that I would go study them, but in a way, if there is a book about it, I am very interested in it. So for me personally, it's very interesting, and I really like it. And I also like that our main character actually challenges the religion that she grew up in and creates her own. I think that's a very interesting idea to um, explore. It is a cult, but slightly better, uh, and that you don't have to join to travel with them. Um, yeah, she didn't force people to believe in Earthseed, but and I also don't think like it wasn't the cult in like evil cult kind of way. It was rather, you know, I don't know what the definition of cult is, but she really created just another religion. If that we call a cult, that she created some values according to which she expected her group, her community to live by, then the entire world is a cult. So I don't know what the definition of cult is. It just felt like it at some point, but she didn't force people to be part of it. Kind of, though. Yeah, it's a little, it's on the edge. I feel like it's on the edge of cult. True, well, change is a benevolent god. The dead hiding her sharing makes way more sense when we learn of the share slaves in this society. Um, yeah, I mean, it makes sense in general. Like, especially in that time, 30 years ago, you didn't go around telling people you had a mental health disorder. It was very frowned upon. I don't know if in America, but it is still frowned upon today. Um, so, in some societies. But yeah, that the share slaves definitely did give it a little bit more, not credit, but like a little more story. But I don't feel like that would necessarily be the only reason why he was trying to hide that. But could be definitely a big part of it for sure. So much of her creating it was her trying to understand God or whatever for herself, or understanding what about her father's religion she didn't click with. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I didn't feel like that was anything wrong with that at all, which is perfect for your own personal journal. But yeah, yeah, exactly. I wonder how much her dad influenced her without knowing. Um, in what sense? I feel like your parents shape you, pun intended. Um, People you grow up with, they shape you, if you realize it or not. So, um, in what way exactly do you mean if he influenced her in the religious way that like she also wanted to be a preacher? I feel that's natural for kids to follow their parents, even subconsciously, even if they don't want to. I don't know. The one part bothered me, I think, with Benkol when he said something about her making it up, and she said something like she was discovering the truth, but didn't understand that it was her truth. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely, it was her truth, but I don't know how to explain it. But like, I agreed with her in that part that she was observing people, she was observing world and making these verses based on that, and it felt like lots of times it made sense, and at least to me. So of course it was her truth, that's why she wasn't forcing everybody to follow, or like she wasn't forcing anybody to follow. It was just something she believed in, and she thought that that was the only way forward. And isn't that what all religions really think? If you think about it, every religion thinks that this is the only way to live, and if you don't, you are whatever. Let's not get into that, but like, then there are consequences for you if you don't follow. So yeah, yeah, it's interesting, not necessarily the truth, if that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, I don't know if I'm saying it right. No, I think I understand what you mean, that like she was convinced that it was just the way the world works, but from what she saw, it was the way the world worked. Um, so she didn't have any reason to believe it wasn't the truth. And isn't that what being a teenager is? Honestly, doesn't every teenager think they know everything and they know how the world works? But still, people who didn't join her had to listen to her preaching. Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess. I don't see a problem with it. But yeah, I agree. That's true, Jess. She pointed it out as the only truth, but at the same time, I feel like you, Barbara, a lot of things made sense, or were just observations, but she's quite convinced. Yeah, yeah, definitely. They were her observations, and it is tricky because where do you draw the line between her being convinced of something because she observed it and the truth, because there is no truth. There is no universal truth, is there? Like, sure, change is an immutable force, but it isn't necessarily God. No. And that's, yeah. Um, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think she actually thought it was like God in a sense that God was changed, but in a way that what Christians consider as God for her is change. And so change is God, as in the change is the most powerful thing that just is, and you can't deny it. So basically, that's undeniable God. But I don't think she meant it in a way that, or I don't know, maybe I'm just projecting. It's very interesting, isn't it? For me, that's the fascinating part, like how easily a cult could be created by someone charismatic who is very convinced and shares things that mostly make sense and people start following. Yes, it's very easy if you know what you're doing. Absolutely. It definitely came across to me like I just left my community for the first time and now I know how the world works. Follow me. Um yes, it hmm she definitely didn't know how the world works, and I think that was pretty well disputed by having Zara in, and her telling her experiences and saying what they should do and shouldn't do. And Lauren actually listened, it felt like. So I feel like in that sense it was challenged, and she did understand that she didn't know everything. But at the same time, she was more prepared than any average person around her. So it made somewhat sense. But yeah, it's she's just a teenager anyway. And how much of people engaging with Ursid was just them looking for hope or something to hold on to? Isn't that religion? Isn't that what religion is? It felt that she wanted to get away from her father, but she still acted a bit like him. That's what I mean by influence. Uh, yeah, I don't think she wanted to get away from her father. Um, I think she wanted to get away from the neighborhood and from the unsafety, um, the danger, and wanted to move somewhere with better life. But yeah, yeah, definitely, she ended up being like him. Yeah, that makes sense, Alex. And she was definitely his favorite child, and she would have picked up how he acted and brought people together. I think there is something in the beginning about how to gain respect, trust from others. Yes, 100%. Yes. It was not meant as a worshipable deity, but more of concept to have people believe in. Yes, exactly, exactly. Because uh, all the time when people ask, or especially when I was in the US, that's a thing. I'm sorry about the sun. I don't know what to do. Uh, when people asked me when I was in the US, because where I was, everybody was religious, and it was like I had to be very careful with what I say, or I would offend some religious person. So I had to be very careful. But people would be really like surprised when I told them that I did not believe in God. And at some point, like I actually started to think about it and like what do I think, and like why don't I believe in God, or like what do I believe in, because that will be the next question. What do I believe in? And if I think that there is absolutely nothing, and then I would probably say something like, I think that like nature is God. But again, I don't feel like I should worship nature. It just feels like the nature is the most powerful thing on the planet. And well, on the planet, we could think it's the sun, right? If the sun goes away, nature is not going to survive. It's just things like this, that if you need me to have a god, it's going to be nature for me. It's going to be the weather. And which, let's be honest, religious people think that God controls. I don't know. I don't know if, like, not all religions, obviously, but they would say that, oh, God sent the tornado or whatever, or God sent good weather, you know? So in a way, it's the same thing. It's just I don't believe there is some big bearded guy who controls it. Or I don't know if he has a beard or if it's a he. I don't know. But I don't believe there is a person who created the universe. I just, I don't like, do I believe in something bigger than us? Sure, yes. There are many things that are bigger than humans and humanity. It's just, I wouldn't call it God. But if you need me to have a God, it's gonna be this. So it felt that's why I feel like I kind of understood this changes God kind of idea, because I don't think she actually believed that that's God, but exactly like a concept that is bigger than us, and to embrace it, kind of thing. Is that better? Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting discussion. Look at us. For me, it was like she was not wanting to hold on to a god in the classical sense, but the change that everyone can make for themselves to create something new, because she was so fed up with the adults still waiting for the old ways to return, because that was the only thing, not wanting to face the new world they made. Yes, that's exactly how I felt as well. 100%. Yes. Where in the US were you again? I only remember you talking uh, about New York. I was in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin. Lots of pagan religions are based around nature too, not necessarily with any sort of god. I'm pagan. Surprise, I ended up in Sweden? I think not. I liked how she spoke about always keep learning. That also was connected to the change concept. Yes, always keep learning and adapt. That seems quite a healthy point to begin with. Exactly. Like, I think she had a great idea, and that's why I didn't really have problem with her religion, because when she explained it in full in that passage when she was talking to Banco, I felt like she actually like really explained it really well, what she wanted with it, and that she wanted like a better life, and she wanted the community to work towards something together and something better. And um yeah, so that's exactly what I felt like I understand about it, and I agree, honestly. Like, I love that idea, and it makes total sense. And it needed some leader who would, you know, live accordingly. But what they got was, they were not powerful enough or anything. So it will be interesting to see how it continues, if she creates something big that many people can benefit from. That will be very interesting to see. But like, the idea, I think, is great. Older people waiting around for the return of the old glory days is so terrifyingly realistic. Yes. Yes. Yikes. Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. That was the best year of my life that I was there. Like, loved Milwaukee, loved my year there. Um, but they were very religious, or very many religious people. So yeah. And my best friend at that point was like religious. Like, he was actually wearing a ring to, like, on his, engagement, what is it, ring finger. uh, to show his dedication to God, you know. So it was like it wasn't like a religious school or anything, but in general, people there were very religious in general. So I couldn't use my typical English light swear words. I would have to work around them because otherwise I would get dirty looks. Okay, serious question. What do they do with their garbage? Was it ever mentioned? Because they were careful to stock up on condoms and tampons, but I don't remember any disposal mentioned. They burned it. At some point, they were saying, like, poor people, like, the streets were so clean because the poor people will collect all trash to burn it. So I guess they burned it. I don't think it's a really good fuel, used condoms or tampons. Burn it. That's how you get rid of trash, I guess. Um, yeah, some burned and also some buried. Yes, true. They buried some as well, I think. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Burning plastic smells great. Lol, you, yes. Yeah. Ugh. Um, so I don't know if there was anything more to discuss. There were some graphic scenes, some really scenes that were very hard to read, but it wasn't too bad, I don't think. Even though, what am I to tell? From my point of view, it wasn't that bad. At some point, I was feeling really like, oh, I don't want to read this, but then it went away in a couple of pages. Um, I think all in all, it was very interesting. It was very interesting look into our future, or into the future of poor people and middle class people, let's say, not the rich ones, as we know. Um, but yeah, they also buried money. Imagine going to dig up your cash and you found these condoms. Ouch. Wouldn't really want that, would you? Burning tampon sounds a bit George R. R. Martin, Blood and Fire. I don't know what it is, and I did read that, but I did not like that book. So, or I mean, not I didn't like it. I was just way too bored to pay attention. So I don't know. Oh, how do you all feel about the age gap? Yes, the age gap. She was 18. He was what, 56? She said he was one year younger than her father. Mm, are we ready to talk about Bank Hall? I mean, they they had the chemistry. I can't deny that. Or at least I don't think I can deny that. They had chemistry. But it was creepy. Like, I understand her needs, whatever, you know. She tried what it feels like she needed it, and he needed it. But really, it's like what, 38 years? 38 years difference. Oh my gosh. I don't understand the point of it. I don't understand why they needed to be a couple. I guess it makes sense. Like, in the plot, in the story, it makes sense that he was old, so he can, he would have time to buy the property and to wait and everything. Like, makes sense that he wasn't 20, and it makes sense there would be a couple because otherwise she wouldn't go with him. Maybe, even though maybe she would if she trusted him as a part of the group, maybe she would go still. But really didn't have anything better. At least this time, the relationship of the main girl was both consensual and not as gross as the other books. Yeah, you mean other Butler books? I don't know. Yeah, it was consensual, but honestly, like, legally it is consensual, but if you think about the mental side of it, 18-year-old girl and 56-year-old man is not the equal mental capacity. Just saying. But even if it's legal. A year younger or older than her father, whatever. That's the part that got me. Yep. Love that he asked how old she was after they had sex. Nice, yes. He was like, "What? No way are you 18? You look 30." Weird. At least she turned 18 before, and it was consensual, yes, but still put me off a bit or didn't really feel the necessary to the story. Yeah, exactly. Like, consensual, but really, like, again, legally consensual, morally questionable. Yes, well done. For me, whatever reason, I picture him as Morgan Freeman made it extra weird. But Morgan Freeman is like 80. Should we imagine like Will Smith? How old is he? I would go for that, even though I'm not 18. How old is Will Smith? 55. So imagine Will Smith with an 18-year-old. What about Leo DiCaprio? He does that all the time. 49, almost there. You know, it happens. But if you give me Will Smith, I mean, I might too. Never mind, moving on. Considering her book, Fledgling, as a kid looking vampire having relations with an adult man, this is better, and Butler may have had some issues. Ah. So it's like a recurring kind of plot point in her books. Old men with young women. That's creepy. No spoilers, please, you will. Yes. I feel okay with it. It was all consensual and stuff, and I feel like they had needs to connect with others in that way. I don't know. Also, a girl at 18 in this world had to be way more adult. Yeah, definitely. Still. um like, I'm not the one who's gonna bash the book about this creepy relationship. That you're not gonna find me doing that. I'm gonna say it was creepy, but it's not gonna be I don't want to read from this author because it has creepy relationship. I've seen some other creators do that, complain about the book because of something, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there are much bigger problems in this book than that, but and you're gonna focus on that. So you're not gonna see me bashing a book because of that. I feel like it's a fiction. You can write whatever you want. It's supposed to bring some story forward, right? Um, but at the same time, I did not love it. Totally caught me off guard when she went to buy condoms after she met him. I thought, oh, nice, she's optimistic about meeting someone in the future. I thought the same thing. Then she kissed him, and I was like, no, oh no, I was the same. I was the same. I also thought like, need some condoms for some future. Like, okay, who are you trying to hook up with? But yeah, that's what she did. He also called her girl all the time. Yeah, creepy. Then, as right now, I mean, there were 13-year-old uh, pregnant girls and stuff, and all that shit happening makes you age faster. I don't know. They were happy about it. Go for it. Yeah, like, just because circumstances makes you age faster doesn't mean you are ready to make life-changing decisions. But yeah. Yes, DiCaprio has an age limit, right? Like 26, and he dumps them. Sure, I have thoughts. Yes, exactly. I just remember the preteen cannibals with the pregnant girl. Oh yeah, that was awful. That was awful. I think Banko was just a kind of creepy character in general. Yep. Yes, that was gross. Yeah. I was thinking Cleo immediately, like cannibal book. Then how he's like, I intend to marry you. He goes from, oh wow, you're 18 to let's get married and live on my land in what, a few weeks. Yeah, and then she was like, and then we're like, are you bored with me? And I'm like, sorry, dude, you just spilled like some huge beans on her. Can you give her a minute to think about it without attacking her, please? Oh, I so thought of Cleo. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Okay. Should we run it through Copile? Are we ready to do that? I think I am. I haven't rated my 4 books in the compile, but last 3 books. This is the 4th. But it will come. Anyway, Parable of the Sower. Should we go for characters? What did we think of characters? Still conflicted about her not wanting to confirm her ex's death. Who? Oh, the Talcott guy. Because she didn't see him die. Yeah, he could come back in the 2nd book. We don't know if he's dead. Exactly. We don't know. Maybe he survived. But yeah. What about characters? Are they memorable? Were the secondary characters strong? I think the characters were great here. We had many characters and it was easy to remember who was who. So that was great. I liked in the beginning. Oh yeah, it was so like I was shocked with the Keith going for, like leaving and then coming back with money and then describing how he survived and then suddenly he's dead. And I'm like, I did not see that coming. I thought he would be successful out there. So that was crazy. But yeah, I think overall the characters were very strongly done in general. Like all of them were very easy to tell apart. All of them had their quirks and things and backstories. We did not get to know all of them that well, but I think it was still pretty good. Like I get not wanting to see him dead, but she also was planning to marry him, but then just left. Yeah. I think it's a tricky decision or like tricky situation to be in. Characters felt really strong for me. Yes, I confused the sisters a lot until the one died. Yeah, yeah. The sisters were a bit exchangeable, I guess. That sounds wrong to say, but yeah, the sisters were a little easily. And then when the second child came, then I was a little confused who Tori was and everything. But then it cleared up again. So yeah, I just think it might have also been she didn't want to see his body in case it was mangled and shit deep down at least. Yeah, yeah, I think she didn't want to see him. Yeah, I thought that too. Like that way she can imagine him off somewhere being happy instead of knowing for sure he was dead. Yeah, that's what I think. Like she already went through enough that day. Um, Characters, I would give 8. I think they were not like super duper memorable, but it worked. I think everything worked. Everything made sense. I think she as a character made sense a lot with her like creating her own religion, with like suffering from this sharing feelings kind of thing, and just the situation in general. And yeah, I think it was done quite well actually. Probably just me thinking if it were me, I'd want to know. Yeah. Yeah, I'd want to know too, but at the same time, not really. Like maybe just I don't know. It's hard to know. It's hard to know, honestly. I think I like Zara best. Yeah, Zara was great. But that was also some age gap, wasn't it? Zara and Harry. I think there are also some age gap there. Yeah, I would want to know too, but also my instinct would want to survive more. Yeah, exactly. Like it was an easy situation to be in. Um, so yeah, I think I give characters 8 out of 10. And then the next category we have is atmosphere. In atmosphere, I sometimes need to reread what we are supposed to. How immersive was the read? Were you able to picture the setting, the characters, creatures? Was the energy in the scenes palpable, or was it not very convincing? I think the energy was great. It wasn't perfect. Sometimes I just felt a little out of the story. I don't know, like specifically I feel like I should have been more scared or more into it when they were doing the shooting practice and the dogs came. Um, but in general, I think the atmosphere was great. I could picture everything great. I had like a kind of clear picture of what was happening, which is really strange. Um, and yeah, I think it worked really well. Yeah, Zara was a great character. The group of the first three was well done. Yes. Some things I could picture far too well. I think Zara and Harry are closer. Her ex-owner husband was one who bought younger brides to breed with. Still should be a couple of years older, I think. Yeah, they were definitely closer in age. Like Harry was 18 or something like that, and Zara could have been 30 or something, but or 25, who knows. But there was some age gap too, but not as big as Bancol and Lauren. I found the atmosphere very well done. I could picture the setting and how it felt, even how it smelled. Yes, definitely. Yeah, she was definitely significantly younger than that husband. Okay. But she was the oldest wife. I don't know. But yes, atmosphere is gonna get 8.5? 9? 8.5, I think. I feel like 8.5 is good. I wanted something a little bit more, but overall it was done very, very well. There was also that moment where Lauren realized Banco's daughter could have been her mother. Stuff like that makes the gap seem more gross. I am in Banco's wife. No? But yeah, yeah. I thought she was the youngest wife. That's why the other two resented her. I thought she was the oldest wife. She was the oldest wife, and the younger ones resented her, and she stayed anyway. That's what I thought. No? Maybe not. I'm not sure. But okay. Next category we have writing. Writing we have, did you enjoy the writing style? Was the prose to your liking or unique? Was it hard to follow, not very readable? How was the dialogue to narration ratio? Did it flow very easily and felt beautiful but effortless at the same time? I don't think the writing was beautiful though. Would you be keen on picking up another book from this author, even if it's a different genre? So for this, I think writing was great. Even how slow the story was, I was not bored. And I was even thinking how we have the same thing going on for a long time, like just walking and sleeping and walking and attack and gunfire and everything, but I was never bored. So I think the writing was very good. And so I also thought she was the youngest, but I might have had this wrong. She is the youngest. Why did I think she was the oldest? Beautiful writing would have been out of place in this world. Yes, absolutely. I enjoyed the writing. Like I think Natalie said, I somehow thought it would be more complicated, but it was easy to get through. Yes, definitely. Now I'm bugged. Was she youngest? I was so sure she was oldest. Karen was the first wife, Natalie second. Okay, okay. I rest my case. She's the youngest then. So then she wasn't like that much older than Harry. Then never mind. My bad. Okay. Writing, I think, was great. It wasn't beautiful, but yeah, as you say, it wouldn't work in this book, I think, because of the nature of the world and the story. So I think writing, I would give 9. I have nothing to say against. I thought it was very well done, with the verses, the earth seed religion, and how it all connected, and how basically, I don't know, the last thing that is there is from the Bible, but it kind of tells their story, or at least Lauren's story, it feels like. So I wonder if when the author read the Bible, she got idea to write the book. So it was interesting, but very well done. Of course, the first one wasn't Karen. Page 34, if you want to check yourself. I'm not saying I don't trust you. I just, I, okay. Karen is the one with the, yeah, okay, I see. All at once. Karen, Natalie, and Zara. They've all got kids by him, though. So far, Zara, the youngest and prettiest, only has one. Karen is the one with the marriage license, but she let him get away with bringing in first one, then another new woman into the house and calling them his wives. I guess the way things are, she didn't think she could make it on her own with 3 kids when he brought Natalie, and 5 by the time he found Zara. Okay. Because that I don't remember at all. It just then later when they were talking and when Zara was talking about her relationship with him, I thought she said that she was the first in the house, but I was wrong. Larissa not rereading in time, but also showing up with exceptional notes. I just read it. Yeah. I mean, you did say we're on page 29, so you're probably reading while we talk, which is impressive if you ask me. But okay, moving on to the next category, we have plot. Plot. Was the pacing good? Were there any parts of the story where you thought things have dragged on and got a bit tedious? Was overall plot satisfying? Were the reveals worth the journey? Was this plot in any way unique from the other books you've read? Did it surprise you in any way? Has it left you wanting to know more? Was it too complex, too bland, or just right? To answer the questions, the pacing was good. I would say so. I think it worked perfectly to me. As I said, I did notice it was the same thing over and over, but I never got bored or tired. Was the plot satisfying? Were the reveals worth the journey? I feel like there were no reveals. There was no plot twists. There was nothing like that. So no reveals worth the journey. But I feel like the entire book is a journey and like kind of look into the future, which is very interesting. And that was the whole point of the plot, I would feel. Was it in any way unique from the other books you've read? Again, as I said, kind of Hunger Games, Ready Player One style, in a very 1984 kind of way. Has it left you wanting to know more? It did not, actually. I feel like one book would be perfectly enough. I don't feel like I need a second book. It is a duology. I think it was intended as duology from the start. So I hope if we read the second one, there will be something big to focus on and some like big reveal. But as on its own, I feel like it could be very good as a standalone anyway. Was it too complex, too bland, or just it was just right? It was just right. True, they did walk at regular pace, mostly. Second half was not as great as the first half for me, but still okay. Yeah. Would read the second book though. Yeah, it dropped off for me significantly the last 100-ish pages. Yeah, it did a little bit, but I still was really curious to know. I would give plot 8. I think it was good. It worked. There were some things that could have been done better, but it did not. I definitely want to read more, but that's just because I expected a book to go much further into the story. I don't know what I expected at all. I didn't know what I expected where it would end, but as I felt unsatisfied with The Handmaid's Tale, and you did, we love the ending, the open ending of The Handmaid's Tale. This doesn't have open ending, but I feel like it works. Like I don't need to know more. I'll happily read it. I think it was fun, or well, fun. I think it was an interesting read, but I don't feel like I need more. I don't know. I think there was supposed to be a third, but Butler died before writing it. I saw a review that said you can find stuff online about what the third would have been. Oh. If we skipped ahead a few hundred years to an Earthseed colony on Mars, I'd read the shit out of that. Yes, I would too. And I read what the second one is about, and I do not like it. I do not like what the second one is supposed to be about. But maybe it would surprise me. But yeah, if it was something like this, like exactly if you would bring me a story 50 years later, and how far they came with the Earthseed community and the Earthseed society, yes, bring it. This one that actually happened feels a little. I agree, it could end there and I wouldn't need more, but I still want to know what's going to happen now that it's written. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Um, yes, intrigue is our next category. What would that be? Were you wishing you could be reading this book instead of doing whatever you were doing? Actually, no. I was struggling so much to read this week, but I did not want to read any other book either, so I don't think that was the book's fault. Did it take some mental convincing to pick it back up? If it wasn't for the book club, I would. It would take me 2 more weeks. Were you intrigued to see where the story goes? What happens to the characters? How things will evolve? Did the story hold your attention? Did the story hold your attention throughout, or was it not consistent? Um, Both yes and no. It was good, but it was not great. Oh yes, a sci-fi would be great. Yeah, not on Mars though. Just read the Mars trilogy to raw right now. Oh yeah, yeah. Any excuse to go to space works for me. uh, I definitely was intrigued. Um, I was not at all, honestly. I did not want to pick it up. Uh, I don't know if it's just my general feeling with the book club books because I have to read them and I have a deadline, so I just do. So I don't even think about it if I want to pick them up, and it feels like a chore sometimes. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy the book. It just changes the feeling I have, and I was not willing to pick it up. But when I was reading it, I had a good time. So, but that's probably more on me than the book itself. So, but I'm still gonna give Intrigue like 6.5, I think. It didn't help the intrigue, the book. So I do like dystopian bleak stuff, but this one ended up being meh for me. Good, but not great. I agree. Yeah, exactly. Um, we have two more categories. The next one, second from the last, is logic, where their characters acting in accordance to their motives, were they clear, were you able to follow the rules of the world, were those rules broken at any point? Did you have to stop at any point because things did not make sense, or you found plot holes? Was the world building sufficient, or overwhelming, or clear? Do you think the author has left too much unclear, or overburdened you with unnecessary information? Did it feel like everything fit the story, setting, motives, backgrounds perfectly? Um, I'm gonna say I found the issue with the searching life on a different planet when there is life on this planet with limited resources and the society went bonkers. What makes us think that it would be better on a planet where there are like minimal resources or non-existent really? That's one thing. And the second thing would be, what was the question? Yes, I think my enjoyment would be a lot higher if we had more look into some governmental stuff. What was the damn government doing? Why was police so useless? Like, it just feels like that wouldn't necessarily happen in the US. Like, US would just call in the army and fix it. Um, Even though from the videos I've seen in San Francisco, not really. But I don't know. I just feel like maybe I wanted a little bit more structure in that sense, like a little more look into why the system collapsed this way, why nobody cares about the government anymore, what happened, like some a little backstory into that, because I feel like we didn't get any of that. And by no means is that a mistake, it's just something I wished we would explore a little bit. um I guess part of that was how close I was to religion and overthinking about the concept of religion all my life, so it hit a point of interest. Yeah, that could definitely help. For sure, it could be very interesting. Well, this is my first time having picked up and finished a book club book. Ooh, look at that. Seriously, like, have you DNF'd all the previous books you read for a book club? Any book club? That's intense. I blame capitalism. Yeah. I think they did mention maybe National Guard at one point and saying they wouldn't be able to do much either. Yeah, they did. They mentioned it when they were talking about San Francisco and how bad it's there, and that they would actually bring in National Guard and they wouldn't be able to do anything. But why? Why? Like, give me a description of a scene where a National Guard would be useless. Like, I'm not saying, I did say it, but I don't mean like it would never happen in this way. But I find it very unlikely, especially with the way the US has the army and guns and everything. Even though maybe the guns make it worse, right? Like in Europe, nobody has guns. So people wouldn't be able to just shoot everybody. I don't know. It just feels like something I would have liked explored a little bit more. But yeah, all about money and power play for the upper few. Yeah. I wanted to know more about the collapse and how it all came about. More of the apocalypse, not post-apocalypse. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So if it had a prequel, that would be great. I too have a hard time imagining our military as useless or ineffective in any way. Yeah, like, you do have a lot of guns over there. So I can see why police, for example, would be scared to go anywhere because there is way more people than police. But at the same time, it feels like US is a military state, kind of. So it feels a little strange that it would just get out of hand like that. I don't know. Maybe though. My mind, the rich fudgers have bought up the weapons and maybe also the soldiers for defense, and the government has scraps left. Um, I guess that would be one way. Okay, that's an idea. It also doesn't help everyone's perception of the US having a rampant gun problem in every place. Ah, see, you proved my point. What do you mean? I know a single person who owns a gun, and it's only because he's ex-military and would go to the shooting range. Yes, I know not every American owns a gun. I do know that. But this is a whole different discussion. The way you can get a gun in the US, from what I know, or at least in many states, is absolutely bonkers if you come from Europe. I understand if you grew up in the US, it might be normal to you, you would not even blink an eye. I'm not saying you personally, I'm just saying in general, I understand there are Americans like that. If you, I don't know, I don't judge. I understand why people would feel that way if you grow up that way. We in Europe didn't grow up that way. We don't have guns. I never seen a gun in my life, like a real gun. Unless it was, I mean, of course I have. When I was walking around Washington, they had the guns, the guards. Like in that way, yes, but not like a normal person having a gun. I never seen that. Um, or yeah, so it's a very different background we come from, and very different way the system works. So I imagine if things start go south, it would be way easier to get weapons in the US compared to Europe. Now, I'm not saying Sweden. There is way too many guns in Sweden. That's a whole another issue that here police cannot handle, and it's really terrible. Um, there is many guns in Sweden, way more than it should be. But in normal European countries, people don't have guns. And if you do want a gun, you need to go through a training, you need to have a test, you need to get a license. You can't just walk into a supermarket and get a gun. Um, so it's a very different, I feel like, background to face this kind of apocalypse, let's say. I mean, US Popo has military grade weapons right now and back in Butler's time too, so it shouldn't be as big of an issue. No. Yeah, guns are not normal to me. I hate them. No, I understand. I know there are many Americans who feel the same. Just fun feeling for me when everyone from outside the US likes to tell me how it is here. I yeah, some places in the US, exactly. I know, I know, I know it's not the same in every country. I know, and I know it's worse in some. Well, worse. I know more people in some states have guns than in others. So I am in no way saying I know like the problem or whatever. I don't. It's just from the statistics and from what we see from abroad. Uh, it's insane for us anyway. But yeah, like from again from what you see, but that's what media shows you. So that's one part of the problem. It's what media shows you or what media tells you. In some parts in the US, let's say that, you can walk into Walmart or whatever other store and just buy a gun. They have guns right there, they have ammunition right there. You can just buy one and go. Again, I'm sure it's not in like the big cities, it's not in every state. I'm sure this is in like the smaller towns, I imagine. But I have to say, here in Europe, I've never seen a gun in a store. I've never, I don't know even where I would start looking if I wanted to get a gun. If I wanted to, like, first of all, of course, I would have to apply for some license. I would have, so then probably I would learn where to get it. But I have no idea. There are no stores for it here. There is some army stores, but they sell like knives. They don't sell guns. So like, I don't even like know where to get a gun here if I wanted to. So that's a big difference in my eyes. But yeah, of course, every state is different, every town is different in the US. Like, I'm not saying I know how it works or anything. It's just what we see from abroad. I have seen them on special police force, but it's kind of scary to see that. Yeah, exactly. Like on police, you would see it, or guards or something. Also, good to remember laws are very different depending on the state. Yes, I get that, Jess. I hate to be confronted with or included in prejudices that I don't agree with or don't fit in. Yeah. And again, I didn't try to say that all Americans love guns. I know that's not true. I know there is freaking 300 million people in the US at least, or like 400 now, maybe. I don't know. And of course, there's so many who don't like guns. Like, that's no, I'm just talking more about the laws in general. Depends heavily on how red the area is. Yeah. Some states, people just walk around with a gun on their hip at the supermarket. Me, I've never seen someone carry a gun in the open who wasn't law enforcement. Yeah, yeah, I understand it. I know. Even just hurting people do in American. I lived in the US for a year. I never seen a gun. And I lived in a place where you would expect the guns. I lived in a place where uh, not a classmate, but like a schoolmate. He lived in the same dorm, got shot and was taken by police because he got shot. And so it was around, but I just never seen it. Um, so I understand it's not like you just see people on the street walking with the guns. I know that. I never seen a person with a gun in the US. But it's just the law, I think. Especially in some places, I would say. Of course, I don't know law in every state. Like, I'm accent, it's super southern. Okay. Which is such a small part of the country. Yes. Do an American people really say that? I respect and appreciate other perspectives. I acknowledge some places are the stereotype, but this shit will always strike a nerve with me, and I will not back down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to attack. Um, I know I'm laughing, but I really didn't mean to attack. I did not mean to like. all I basically meant to say statistically how many guns there are in the US compared to Europe. That's basically all I wanted to say. I didn't mean to say that everybody in the US loves guns. I'd never said that. I hope I didn't say that. If I did, I don't think that. It's just from the numbers that I've seen, it's crazy. But I know with some states have more guns than the others, and I know there are people who love guns and people who hate guns. I know there are people who never seen a gun, and I know there are people who have 20 guns at home. Like, I know this, and I would never imagine that every American is the same and every American thing loves guns. But it's just the general law, I think, is different. The entire US is not the lawless dystopian hellscape some make it out to be. No, I know. I know. I love America. Is the availability issue? Yes. That's exactly what I was trying to say. But also is not the same in every state. The most people you see are the Republican politicians in their promos and their most loyal voters that carry and love guns more than people. Yes, who there is not that many of them, and even then they'll do it for the money. Maybe they don't actually think it. Who knows? I get it. I just hate it. I'm totally fine disagreeing. Um, yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, I think it's very hard to understand how it is from different point of view, because in Europe it's illegal to carry a gun. In the US it's not, or at least in some states I imagine it's not. I imagine in some states it is, in some states it's not. And that's the difference I was pointing at, or trying to point at, that Europe is very, very strict with guns, and in that way it would be very different situation in the US compared to the America, where you can get guns probably pretty easily if you want to. Here it will be probably more of a struggle because there is not that many guns here, I think. That's all. But I understand your disagreement, and yeah, it's okay. We are from different places. We see things differently. It's fine. I respect it, and I love that you hate guns. I hate guns too. I hate guns, and uh, I know there are many Americans who hate guns too. Yes, just don't. We need to keep to remember that what we hear and see is not the only truth, and the prejudice exists. So keep going. Yes, exactly. I'm registered independent, so I unfortunately have both perspectives trying to sway me. How dare I disagree with aspects of both major parties? Uh, I think being in the middle is the best, honestly, or most sensible. Do I want to say that? I just said it. I think it is more sensible because that way you are getting information from both sides and you can create your own opinion. And I really hate how it's just portrayed in the US as only two options, and that's it. And you either agree with us or you're the enemy, and there is no room for critics, at least not in the media. Again, what you see on the internet is not what the life looks like. But yeah, it's a tricky subject. Even here, we hear lots of the bad stuff and not enough about everyday life. Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, yeah. Let's not pretend there are no shootings in Europe. In no way am I saying that. There are shootings in Europe, and in Sweden there is many guns. There are many gangs in Stockholm. So you do have, people hate to say it, no-go zones, but there are places you don't really want to go. There is one place where my favorite library is. In the last half a year, there were like 3 shootings there. Not like shootings at random people, but gang shootings. Madness. And so like, I live in a place where there are guns everywhere, or more than it should be, more than is legal. So who am I to say? But it's really madness, and it needs to be fixed, but the police doesn't know what to do. And just looking at it, how there are like reported more shootings in the US, is just kind of like changes, not the opinion, but like it kind of gives you an idea on what that is. But again, it's like, basically what I wanted to say when I started saying that in the first place, as I mentioned before, is how many guns that are in the US compared to Europe. That's all I wanted to say. I don't know. Should we? I want to Google it now. How many guns there are? And not like to prove me right or anything. I'm just curious about the statistics because maybe there is more guns in Europe than I think. It's just from the law, it's illegal to carry a gun or to have a gun without a license. And I would like to know how many people in Europe have license actually to have a gun. I don't know. USA guns, let's say. Guns per capita. What are the statistics? United States has the highest gun ownership rate with 120 firearms per 100 people. Yemen follows behind with 52 firearms per 100 people. So it's more than one gun per person in the US. And let's see if there is Europe or if into search separate countries by country. Okay, let's see which one is. This is per 100 people. The worst in Europe is Serbia, and that is 39 per person. Montenegro, number 6, 39. Then is Canada, number 7. Finland, where is Sweden? Sweden, 23. So it's not even the worst in Europe. All right. But yeah, that's all I meant, that it would be easier to find a gun in the US. So maybe it would be like much more deadly situation. Like this thing would be more likely to happen in the US, everybody having a gun. Here would be much more difficult because there is not that many guns. That's all I wanted to say. I mean, I'm from New Jersey, so I've been begging people for years not judge us by our media representations. Yeah. The thing is, compared to European politics, the US left is center. What? European politics, the US left is center right, and the rest is far right or worse. Depends on what country you're looking at in Europe. I definitely wouldn't say that American left is center right. Absolutely not. I disagree with that, but that's fine. I don't actually know what like the again definition is, but if you went by that, we're all either Sopranos or Jersey Shore. Either way, I'd be dead in a place without air conditioning and inhalers. Let's be honest. Yeah, I guess. Yes. Oh yeah, one category left. I didn't put logic. Logic 7. Enjoyment. We had one category left. Enjoyment. I think enjoyment would be 7.5. Honestly, I really liked it. So it's 4 stars. That's fair. So I give it 4 stars. And if you would be interested to reading the second one together, let me know. We can organize it. Probably, should we do it in May? Or should we do it maybe sometimes later, like July or something? And then we could have a discussion of that. And it could be like our, again, extra book club book. And read the second one in the series. I think that would be really interesting. Yes, 4 stars feels right. Yeah, I think so. I think 4 stars is good. We'll see over time what I think, but I enjoyed it overall. I think it was really good. I think it had really good, like, thoughts and thought process and ideas. So, and I like the writing. So that was good. What did everybody else rate it? If you want to share. I'm debating between 4.5 and 5. Probably 4.5, and I already own the second and want to read it. Maybe June. Okay, I don't own it. Should I get it? Maybe I can get it from library. Because I'm not allowed to buy books. The Democratic Party is mean by American left. Basically, what it in their media is referred to as the left. There are left-wing people in the US, but not as much mainstream politicians. Okay. Fair. I would read the second one with you. Nice. Somewhere in the 3-star range for me. Yeah. I'm feeling it would be more like 3.5, 3.75, something like that. But I think it's just the overall feeling I have from it that would be dragging it a little bit down. But all the things we discussed, I agree with what I said. So it's tricky. It's tricky. But I'll leave it for now. 4 stars for now. I would be interested in reading the next one. So maybe I'll put the poll on Discord to see if you would want to read the second one together and when. Natalie suggests June. That could work for me. I don't know enough about other countries' politics to compare, honestly. Me neither. Me neither. I don't follow politics much. The most politics I follow is in the US. But I don't know. I don't like to follow it all that much. So June, maybe. I think that would work for me. So I'm going to put a poll. We can decide on when it would work. But the next book we are reading, and that is for May and June. So keep in mind that the discussion will be probably first July week or weekend. And it is Finding the Mother Tree, Uncovering the Wisdom and Intelligence of the Forest by Susan Simard. This is a nonfiction, and it doesn't even say what it is. The story of a botanist's battle to establish that trees not only talk but cooperate is vital for our times. Since Darwin, biologists have always maintained that survival is about the selfish gene. Simard's work appends that. Finding the mother tree has come at a crucial moment. Feels like a really good continuation of this, where she wanted to create a community to survive. Here, we need a community to survive. So it's going to be probably in a similar tone, but it's a nonfiction. I do recommend getting a physical copy because we have pretty pictures inside. Not that many, but there are some pretty pictures. So if you want to get the physical copy, even though this one was expensive when I got it. But yeah, this is our next read. It's a nonfiction and about the relationship the trees have with each other and with everything else, I assume. So the woman who looked at the forest and saw a community. Simard has spent decades with her hands in the soil, elegantly detailed, deeply personal, astonishing. Sounds fun. So that is our next read. We're to look forward to the nonfiction picks. Maybe I need to read more of it on my own. Yeah. I am reading one nonfiction about climate now as well. I will tell you all about it in my TBR video. Very excited for this one. Hope it's written and not too intellectual. Yeah, I hope so too. Unintentional transition from Earthseed? Yeah, I think so. I did not know it was that kind of like connection or that well bridged. Introduction. For generations, my family has made its living cutting down forests. Our survival has depended on this humble trade. It is my legacy. I have cut down my fair share of trees as well. But nothing lives on our planet without death and decay. Whoa. Starting strong. From this springs new life, and from this birth will come new death. This spiral of living told me to become a sower of seeds too. It's right here. Sower. You can't make it up. I honestly didn't know. A planter of seedlings, a keeper of saplings, a part of the cycle. I'm excited. That's exciting. That is really cool. Yeah. Okay. So I think we can wrap it up. That was meant to be. Yes, it was. Honestly, I can't even. I'm so excited now. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up now. It was a fun book to read. It was very much fun discussing this, especially the religion aspect and the potential cult aspect of it. I think that was really cool. And yeah. Oh, hello, Elena. Welcome. Hi, guys. Just got back and joined. Going to watch from the beginning as soon as you're on. Yeah, we are just wrapping up. So you unfortunately missed pretty much the entire thing. But you can rewatch, no worries. And then if you would like, you can leave comments down below or on the Discord channel. Feel free. Thank you for another great discussion. Thanks for the buddy read and you hosting. Yeah, thank you for reading. Thank you for being here and discussing. Sorry, Jess, for being sacrilegious, uh, stereotypical, stereotypes assuming kind of European. Didn't mean it, but hope you're not mad at me too much. But hope it was all in good fun. And yeah, I think it was very interesting discussion. I will post the poll on when we want to read the second one together. I would be definitely up for doing that. And yeah, sorry in advance, Alana, lots of me being triggered. Sorry for triggering you. My apologies. Thanks. Many thanks for making me finally read this author, though. I've been meaning to for as long as I can remember. And yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. Hope you didn't hate it too much. America. Yeah. Yeah. No worries, just no. Yeah. So thank you for the discussion, everyone. It was fun as always, very interesting as always. I love to discuss these books with you. And I'll see you, well, on Tuesday's Prints. But otherwise, when it comes to the book club, in the next discussion, and that's going to be of finding the mother tree, unless it's going to be previous than that or before that discussion of the parable of talents. So that is the plan. Yeah, I'll just see myself out. It's okay. So yeah, thank you very much for hanging out and hope you have a great rest of the evening or rest of the day. And I'll see you later. Bye.